Chrisean Rock's baby has some developmental delays. And before you say, oh, leave the baby alone, nobody is picking on the baby. The issue that a lot of people are seeing is Chrisean's denial.
First of all, my baby is healthy. They would have told me if he had syndrome. He's healthy, bro. Just because that picture wasn't that cute doesn't mean I could diagnose my baby on the internet. That shit is wild.
She's going on the internet and she's showing the baby and she's faking milestones. There's nothing wrong with having a child that is behind developmentally.
Front seat. She got the baby in the front seat with no car seat, no nothing. It's not even my child. This child looks zero like me. This bitch is outside of my house for no reason. Shake, leave, exit left, exit right. Look how she got her baby. Look.
Chrisean Rock has once again found herself at the center of chaos. And this time, it's even more heartbreaking than anyone could have expected. After months of publicly trying to rebrand herself as a new woman, calm, church-going, healed, and ready to move on from the destructive cycle with Blueface, everything came crashing down in front of thousands on Instagram Live. Just days after attempting to showcase her redemption arc by debuting a new relationship and attending church services, Chrisean broke down completely after Blueface reportedly took custody of their son directly from Child Protective Services. And the way it all unfolded wasn't just messy, it exposed the deep emotional wounds Chrisean has been trying to hide for months. For weeks, Chrisean had been trying to project a different image to the public. Gone were the days of wild brawls, outbursts, and late-night Instagram rants, or so it seemed. She appeared at church events, posted videos of herself singing gospel songs, and went on live streams talking about healing, accountability, and staying close to God. To some fans, it looked like Chrisean was finally turning her life around. But for others, especially those who have watched her pattern of public breakdowns and reconciliations over the past 2 years, it all seemed too rushed, too performative. The first cracks in her so-called redemption arc started to show when she introduced a new man on Instagram, attempting to show the world she had moved on from Blueface. But while Chrisean smiled brightly, acting affectionate and overly excited, her new boyfriend's body language told a completely different story. He looked cold, stiff, and visibly uninterested, barely acknowledging her throughout the live stream. The awkwardness was palpable, and within minutes, social media exploded, with reactions pointing out just how fake and forced the situation felt. Behind the scenes, insiders began to whisper that the entire relationship rollout had been staged as part of her image rehab. Chrisean, it seemed, was desperate to show she had moved on emotionally, even if the reality told a different story. Not long after the new boyfriend debacle, things took an even darker turn. Reports began to circulate that Chrisean had been in communication with CPS regarding her son, and that Blueface's involvement behind the scenes was creating serious tension. Chrisean's emotions, already fragile from the failed relationship reveal, reached a boiling point when she found out that Blueface had allegedly stepped in to take custody of their child after CPS intervened. And that's when she completely lost it during a now infamous IG Live session.
And by doing this, it's almost as if she isn't accepting her child for who her child is. Now, also, it's private, it's personal. You don't have to post your children on social media. I get that. But if you are, you can't have it both ways. You can't post these pictures and then get upset when people say, is the baby really standing up? So the reason I'm bringing this up is because of the importance of early intervention when it comes to having a child that is having some sort of delays for whatever reason. And when you're in denial and you think you're going to maybe pray this problem away, you're actually hurting your baby even more because you're not getting the child the help that they need. So the baby's still young. She still has time for early intervention. Hopefully she'll come around. But you guys feeding into her, acting like nothing is wrong with the baby, you're not helping her. She needs to get out of denial. She needs to get the baby some early intervention service.
Just like
Yeah, I suggest doing
You're
content
a
on like.
fucking goof who drank your baby into
Look, here we go. It's a dumb
You drank your baby into the blood.
Make me mad.
Bro, what the fuck, bro?
Anyway,
I told you.
yeah,
Why is it crazy?
yeah,
People just be having nothing.
In the video, Chrisean, visibly shaken, broke down in tears, screaming into the camera about betrayal, heartbreak, and being done dirty by the very man she claimed to have moved past. Her words were a confusing mix of anger, sadness, and desperation, as she accused Blueface of using the system against her to take away the one thing she had left: her son. Fans watched in real time as Chrisean's carefully curated healed woman image unraveled. Gone was the calm, soft-spoken churchgoer. In her place was the same Chrisean Rock the public had seen so many times before, raw, emotional, and consumed by feelings of abandonment. As she sobbed, she revealed deeper insecurities that many suspected had been simmering beneath the surface for months. She talked about feeling unworthy of love, about being constantly hurt by the people she trusted, and about struggling to understand why she kept ending up in situations that left her feeling alone and broken. The heartbreaking live stream exposed the painful truth. Chrisean hadn't truly healed from her past with Blueface. She had tried to patch over the wounds with a new relationship, with church appearances, and with promises of change, but the core issues were still there. Her attachment to Blueface ran deeper than even she seemed to realize, and the loss of her son only ripped those wounds wide open. In a surprising moment of vulnerability, Chrisean even said she still wanted to get Blueface's name tattooed on her face, despite everything that had happened. This admission shocked many of her supporters, who had hoped she was finally ready to close that chapter for good. Instead, it became painfully clear that she was still trapped in an emotional cycle she couldn't escape. Critics were quick to call out the inconsistencies between Chrisean's public image and her private reality. Just weeks ago, she was preaching about letting go, moving on, and trusting in God's plan. Yet here she was, devastated over a man she had publicly denounced, clinging to a toxic relationship that had brought her nothing but heartache. Observers pointed out that Chrisean's behavior wasn't just about Blueface or her son, it was a symptom of deeper issues she hadn't yet addressed. Throughout the livestream, it became obvious that Chrisean was still chasing validation through external means. Whether it was through a new boyfriend, social media attention, or public displays of faith, she was desperately trying to fill a void that only real healing could address. And while the heartbreak was genuine, many couldn't help but notice that Chrisean continued to spin the narrative as if she was in control, claiming that she had made the decision to walk away from the new relationship and from certain situations. But anyone watching closely could see the truth. Chrisean wasn't walking away from anything. She was being pushed out, rejected, and left to pick up the pieces once again. Her emotional outbursts on IG Live also reignited conversations about the dangers of using social media as a coping mechanism. Instead of seeking real support systems, Chrisean was turning to her followers, many of whom thrived on her drama, for validation and sympathy. In doing so, she risked turning her very real pain into entertainment for the masses. As the dust settled after the live stream, one thing became clear. Chrisean Rock was not ready for a new relationship, a new life, or even a new chapter, not yet. Real healing would require more than a few church appearances or a staged relationship reveal. It would require deep, uncomfortable work on herself, far away from the cameras, the fans, and the toxic cycles she kept falling back into. Meanwhile, Blueface remained relatively silent on the situation, fueling even more speculation. Some fans accused him of orchestrating the entire custody situation out of spite, while others argued that he was simply stepping up where Chrisean had failed. Regardless of who was right, the real tragedy was clear: a child caught in the middle of two parents still deeply entangled in chaos. And although Chrisean's emotional breakdown earned her an outpouring of sympathy from some corners of the internet, others were more critical, urging her to take a hard look at her own actions and patterns. They pointed out that until Chrisean was willing to be truly honest with herself, to stop chasing external validation and start doing the internal work, history would continue to repeat itself. The situation served as a stark reminder that healing isn't a performance. It's not about proving anything to followers, ex-partners, or even to yourself through social media highlights. It's messy, painful, and deeply personal. And no amount of Instagram lives, new boyfriends, or redemption arcs can replace the hard, slow work of true self-discovery. Chrisean Rock's story is still unfolding, but if this latest chapter is any indication, she has a long road ahead. And until she confronts the painful realities she's been trying so hard to mask, no rebrand, no new relationship, and no viral live stream will be enough to heal what's broken. Because at the end of the day, true healing doesn't come from a new man, a new image, or a viral moment. It comes from within. And it's a journey Chrisean will have to take, alone.